everybody, and welcome back to another session with Dr. Papori Barooah. Today I would like to take up another topic which is of great relevance in today's world, that is knowing the differences between British English and American English. Now, whenever we talk about language, we have a lot of other elements coming into each other. When we are talking about, say, English language, we have many words from India or Arabic words that have come into the English language, like the famous word biryani or the famous word kebab. Things like that have become a part of the vocabulary of the English language. But specifically talking about British English and American English, the subtle differences that they are there, we tend to get confused. For instance, when you are using the computer and you type out the word COLOUR and you have that line that comes up to tell you that it's a wrong spelling. Now, why is it a wrong spelling? We have been learning that spelling from our childhood. Suddenly it's wrong. Now, the idea is that when we are talking about the computer has Microsoft Word, for instance, which is American, and necessarily it will support American English. So therefore, today I would like to deal upon little differences in the differences between the British English and American ones. And towards the end of the session, I'll tell you what are the major differences in spelling, because that's what is a major problem for us. Because we normally use grammar, grammatically we are normally using British grammar, but we are confused with words like some words which are like whether we do not know whether they are American or British in origin. For instance, you always tell, alright, I'd love to go on a vacation. Vacation? Well, it's not a vacation for the British. It's a holiday. But we have been using it constantly. We do not even realize it's an American word. Or say the word movies, right? We never tell I'm going to the cinema. It sounds so different. But that's actually, cinema is a British English word and movies is the American. So American words have come into our vocabulary in such a manner that we cannot even differentiate between the two. But it's always a good idea to have a knowledge of both the languages, or at least the minimal knowledge about them. So let's get going. Now let us concentrate on the two different types of words that we normally use. See, we're talking about English, British English. We actually need to tell lorry, but how often we tell truck, isn't it? So it's more of what we use is truck and not lorry. Or say we talk about the word biscuit and cookie. For us, cookie is a more refined form of a biscuit. But actually, cookie is an American word and British word alternative is biscuit. The word bonnet. Now, how many of you actually use that? And that's British. American is hat. And we normally always use the word hat. Similarly, for the word bonnet that we use for the car bonnet, actually, the American word is hood and British word is bonnet. Moving on to the next slide, again it's the same thing. Now we always normally use the word parking lot. I've left my car in the parking lot. That's an American way of telling it. The British should say car park. Or say how many of us run to the pharmacy. And actually we are using American English, we should have told chemist shop. My, we never use that, do we? Or say we talk about French fries, right? Actually, the other word is chips for British, and French fries is actually the British word for chips. But when we mean French fries, what we mean are the long stripes that we have of potatoes. Or say, as I told you earlier, how many of us actually go to the movies and not to the cinemas? Actually, the normal way of telling, if we are really following British English, is the cinemas. Moving on to the next slide, say we talk about the word anti-clockwise. Of course, we use that. That's British. The American counterpart would be counterclockwise. And our kids go to the school in the uniforms. Well, that's American English. The actual word should have been for British, if we are really following British, would have been kit. Or say we always talk about the garbage men. How many of us talk about the dustmen? And the dustman is British. Garbage man is American. Similarly, for the word postman, of course, we normally tell the postman, and of course, the mailman is the other alternative for that. The word queue for British, the alternative for Americans would be line, or the word cashier, the alternative would be teller, and the word mate, and the alternative in the American language would be buddy. Now let us deal with some other words and the British English words and their American counterparts. So the word driving license, if you notice it, Licence, that's the British word. Americans would tell Licensc. There's a difference in spelling, right? For the word dustbin, we have American garbage can. For the word holiday, we have the American word vacation. For the word flat, we have apartment. But normally we tell apartment, right? Normally apartment is the word that we choose and not flat. The word lift, of course, we use that. The American alternative would be elevator. The word mad, American would be crazy. Main road is a highway. But for us, the highway is a completely different meaning. We use the main road, but highway is the road that all the trucks and the heavy loaded traffic normally go in for. But it is actually the alternative, the American alternative for the word main road. The word maths, Americans would tell math without the S. Motorbike is motorcycle. Petrol is gas. Pocket money is allowance. Oh, that's different, right? Allowance. Post is mail. Railway is railroad. Rubber is eraser. Timetable is schedule. Let's deal with some others that are available on the internet. For instance, the word underground in American would mean subway, or the American alternative is subway. Chemist, as I told you, is pharmacy or drugstore. Phone box is phone booth, and British queue is American line. Some more interesting alternatives are the British would talk about it as trainers, and Americans would call sneakers, and sneakers is a very, very common word that we normally use. I do not remember ever using the word trainers for my sneakers. Or say the word jumper or pullover. We always literally use the word sweater. Or the British waistcoat is a vest. The British braces they are suspenders for the Americans. So we see basically there are a number of words which we use interchangingly, and in fact we do not even realize that they are British and not American, or American and not British. Now, to make things easier, we have a few rules of spellings, right? So these are the spelling rules we need to follow. We need to remember if we really want to make a difference between the American English and the British. So these are some of the rules which we'll deal in detail now, right? So for instance, the first rule is that all the British English OUR translates to OR or changes over to OR. For the word armor, OUR will become in American armor without the U there. Similarly, behavior will become without the U there, behavior. Color, COLOUR will become OR, color in American. Favorite will become without the U there, favorite. Armor, armor. Harbor and harbor. This is the first rule we need to remember. So whenever we have a spelling mistake, we are shown there is a spelling mistake, we need to remember that they are talking about American English and not British. Next rule is the RE, and it's one of the most confusing rules ever, because as a kid also, when I'm talking about myself, as a kid even I was confused with these words, whether it's center, is it ER or RE? And today I know, after all these studies that we have done in American English, I've realized, I was confused over nothing else but two different ways of writing the same word, center. One is British and one is American. And for me to remember, how do I remember it? It's very difficult, it's very confusing. So I remember one, RE is British. Automatically, ER is American. So let us go and have a look at it. The word fiber, F-I-B-R-E, is British. Americans will become ER. Similarly, meter, meter. Theatre, theatre. Center, center. Luster, luster. Kilometer and kilometer. RE becomes ER. You need to remember one. As I told you, the other one follows. The third rule there. AE will become single E. Like the word leukemia will become without the E here. Or archaeology will become without the A here. Archaeology similarly without the A here. Or orthopedic will become without the A here. So this is the third rule. AE of the British English becomes E of the American. The fourth rule there. This is one of the most confusing rules. Now when we talk about our days, when we were small, and I used to write the word, say, criticize, C-I-S-C, I would feel better if I write C-R-I-T-I-Z-E, because it sounds better, because that's the way we pronounce it. But though that's the way we pronounce, actually it should be S-C for the British and only Z-E for the American. Some words where we normally use them are the words, say for instance, analyze. It's analyzer, but the pronunciation is almost similar. But when we say, it is like when you write it down, SC becomes ZE in American, SC in British. Apologize, apologize. Catalyze, SC, catalyze, ZE. Organize, SC, organize, ZE. Realize, and it becomes ZE for the British. The fifth rule there, enrollment. These are a few words you need to memorize there, because not all words will have this particular difference. But for a few words, the single L will become double N in American. Enrollment, here it's L, double L. Here it's single fulfill, here it becomes double L in American. British, single, American, double. Installment, single, double, it will becoming American. Installment, double L there. Skillful, similarly, skillful there. Let's go for the next rule in we're talking about the spelling. O-G-U-E will become O-G, like analog. Analog. Doesn't it seem familiar now? Well, we are talking about, this is British and this is American. So catalog, O-G-U-E, will become O-G for the American. Monologue will become monologue, again without the O-G-U-E. Whole thing transforms to O-G. Okay. Another one, this is another very interesting one, where we have the British English E-N-C-E becoming E-N-S-E. The word defense, right? C becomes defense in American with the S-C. Now the word license, however, it's very confusing. Why? Because in British English, we use the word license when we are talking about it as a noun. Say for instance, I have this word, I have a license. I have a license. The moment I have an article before the word license, it becomes a noun. So in the position of the subject and the object, it's a noun there, right? And when it is a noun, we have to use the word C with the letter C-E, letter of the alphabet. But when we are using it as a verb, then we use the word S-E, the spelling S-E. Like, he is licensed to go there, right? He is licensed to go there. Then it becomes a verb. And in the verb form, in the British, it is S-E. In the noun form, it is C-E. But to make things easier, for the Americans, it's always a S and S-E. So let us go for the next one there. Some words like this. The word program. Okay. This word program, P-R-O-G-R-A-M-M-E, in the British becomes P-R-O-G-R-A-M in American. Let's talk about some others also. Say the word judgment. This is one confusing word that had always confused me in my childhood. J-U-D-G-E-M-E-N-T, that's British. American, it will be without the E. One more word there. Say British English argument with the E. But in the American, it will lose the E. So these are few characteristic words we normally use every day. So it's very important that you realize that which is American and which is British. All these have been put forward in my book, Student's Handbook on Written English and Phonetics, and which is available in the market. If you're interested to know more about it, you can always go through that particular book, because it analyzes in detail and gives you a lot more, you can say, examples, and tries to really make things easy for you. I hope you had a nice session with me, and it must have been interesting for you, right? So thank you so much for watching, and do let me know if you have any problems, any doubts, so we'll get back.